Welcome back. We're here to take a look at the karmic third party and their energy moving ahead. For those of you that don't know, I'm Yildiz from Yildiz Readings, a psychic medium, clairvoyant, and intuitive astrologer. If you do need a booking, you can go to the link below. And to view our Sage Inner Circle network, feel free to sign up. You do get pre-release content, ad-free, community, and more. Now, let's take a look at the karmic third party energy. These are really interlinking at the moment, and I do believe it is because at a collective level, we're evolving and pivoting. And as we move into this month, what we are finding, there are some pauses and reflections and realignments. And I do see this coming through for the karmic third party. And initially, I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Where is this karmic cycle going? Where directly is it? How are they viewing each other in the context of this circumstance? The first message I got was there can be a correlating energy to do with tribe, because this card does drop down to a 4. And it's almost like both parties here are seeing eye to eye, but in a different way. It does feel as though there is a revelation of how the seed was planted in the first place, why the seed was planted in the first place. And I do feel the karmic third party is having a revelation of how they got into this in the first place and, where they are right now. And we're going to get deeper into this as we proceed forward. Now, there has been a bit of a shock and a revelation, especially pertaining to the past, personal revelations. And I'm noticing the sunflower to the very left, and it's screaming loud and clear, okay, over to the right. And in the higher heart chakra, which is where the throat, in between the throat and the heart, it is the activation we're going to be having this month, is a deep healing, a deep cleansing, a moving out of circumstances that don't align to us, going back to go forward, reflecting back to move forward. And they are in the heart of it, almost juggling these two worlds. And I think a lot of us collectively feel that we're trying to leave the old behind. What do we take with us? What don't we? Moving into the new. How do we kind of balance all these things? And this individual, again, is looking up to the moon. And the moon, it's overstimulating, it's light bulb moments, it's the frequency of revelations and what they're spiritually connected to. Be it is a marriage or it is a connection, where they're going is pivoting and changing. And it's interesting how they're dealing with the apples and oranges analogy and owning their inner divine masculine of what power are they going to take? What are they directly going to do in this circumstance? It does make sense to me because this month we are going to have a Mercury retrograde, and it is in the house of Cancer. We're also going to have some movements into the house of Leo, especially Jupiter moving into Leo. So we're moving out of Cancer and into Leo, and this sun energy is to do with that. The sun of the future, the sun of the past, and we are dealing with both worlds at this point in time. I do feel that the karmic third party is going to see eye to eye, and it's not, oh my gosh, I love you. It's not that feeling at all. It's neutral. It's a neutral view. It's an understanding that both parties are, what they saw in the other person, they were able to embody inside themselves. And it's really like this individual's point in activating the other has come to a completion. It is going into a new chapter. And there is the in-between of an ascension process that they're moving out of and in towards a new cycle. And we're going to see where that's going. In some ways, they realized that they manifested things into their life, somehow through blockages, somehow through the battle call or what they were fighting for. And, in some ways, they did have the writing on the wall. There was the signs and synchronicities. There was the, you're trying to push this, you're pushing it in a direction. There's a halt and a pause here. For some, it can be that they're not really realizing something inside of them is changing. And I think they're going to come to realize this as the month proceeds. And I do think there could be some more shocks and surprises. However, initially, this is a calming effect. This is a pausing effect, a deep reflection inside themselves. For some of them, there is their eye on a different individual. And there is a choice between two options here. This could be a work situation. This could be a path ahead. Is it going to align? Is it going to work? Is it going to mesh in? Where has my attention been going? And something's not fitting. This could be some disruption in tribe, disruption under a roof, disruption in change. And, something that seems ever so simple, and I'm going back to the crowning energy here, something that feels so simple is turning into a catalyst event that is transforming everything. And I don't know if they're completely ready for it, but at this point in time, it feels pretty neutral. But I do think as the week progresses and as we move into Mercury retrograde, some old things, and I don't know why I heard the term trash, some old trash from the past is going to crop up. Okay. They're going to have to address something with their outcome card. This is something old and going back to something old, but also not having a new chapter till the old is dealt with. And we're going to go into the clarifying of what those things are. Okay, how is it starting? we'll double down and we'll come back and we'll go, how is this ending? Okay, what is this neutrality here? How? I feel both parties are on the same page internally. Maybe it's not what's being said, but it's what is actually a circumstance that is exposing where each individual is at. And so it's silent. It is quite silent. Value systems here are evolving. Belief systems are evolving. So it's could I say the calm before the storm? Yeah, I think the storm's been going on for a while. We do have the shock of the new in the most recent past. What is this about, please? Yeah. Okay, there could be a conversation that is going to come up from the past. It's going to be readdressed. There might be a surprising letter that the individual receives. This also could be a text message, and it's unhushing an old circumstance, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be viewed. It's being meditated upon. And initially, they're not going to quite know. Yet, two's company, three's crowd. We've got third-party energy in the heart of it, which I did say. I was really saying that because we see the moon, we see the orange, we see the apple. And then we get the clarify, we get the third-party energy. And I don't think this connects to, the twin flames. I think this is a separate situation. This is, okay, now who am I? Now what was I going off path on? Now what do I need to reevaluate? Was there a situation in the past where there was a secret third party, unbeknownst to the individual who's involved with this person? Is it coming out into the open? Is it being exposed? It could have come about for a reason, but regardless, there's meditation upon the circumstance. Okay, both parties aren't really feeling the same. And although it might not be said, it's unspoken, but it's known. I feel that there is a splitting in the direction and what they're directly connected and committed to. And again, I see this happening under the surface. I see this being very private. There's a rippling happening in the waves. What am I saying here? Ooh. The karma associated to the past. This is interesting. We have the misfortune card here. I think if there was something that was quite secretive and it went unseen, that something's coming out into the open, and something that they thought had been laid to rest is actually going to cause a bit of misfortune in the future. Even if they feel, ooh, this is something I feel the individual that was involved with them had a subconscious thought about, and is to do with deceit and betrayal. And although this person might have changed now, it's still the deed that was done. That's what I'm hearing. There is a mistrust between both individuals here. And this person's not getting any younger. Although they may have the same operating system in the past, they're not getting any younger, and there are some limitations in their life. And so, you know, this is where I've always said what goes around comes around. So even though we can look at Jupiter, for instance, as, pardon me, positive. However, why do we see at times there are negative connotations connected to Jupiter? Is because in order to have the positive, sometimes lessons have to be learned. Sometimes justice has to come so that we can break that karmic loop. A little bit like if you had always been the one that was leaving the relationships, at some point somebody's going to be the one to leave you, because it closes that loop, it closes that cycle. And it's not good or bad. It's a circular situation. And I just get this note of this feeling that whatever this is, I do feel this person has evolved, but this is going to close the loop. This is closing it to kind of bring harmony to the situation, to bring liberation from the situation. What the individual involved with them, either in the present or the past, doesn't know is going to be exposed to them. It's going to be dug into so that chapter can be closed and compartmentalized on the shelf. This has been nagging at the individual that had been involved with them. They had an intuitive hit that something was off, that something was done in the dark. And again, I'm not feeling that they know this is coming. But in order for a new chapter, what they might not understand is that new chapter comes about through dealing with an old chapter. So it is going to be a shock of the new. It was in the back of their mind, but they had put it right back at the back of the shelf. It's going to bring them peace in the long run, but it might not be something that they want to deal with. I feel in some ways there's how do I explain it? One hit is something in their career sector is going to change. Although they may not have the capacity to do such, they're going to have to think outside the box in a different way. Where they generate their wealth from, how they deal with that, how they care for themselves, because there's going to be a consequence here. Where is it pushing them? So something maybe they did in a sense of a hobby might turn into an actual position. It may be out of absolute necessity. Okay, they're saying also there's a track history. And again, we've got another card that has 3 individuals on it. They have an opportunity here to break a pattern. And this can be a total cycle and have a new chapter. And it's really going to dictate how their ending is going to come. And what do I mean by that? Very similar to the kind of example I gave you with Jupiter. You know, say somebody was always leaving you and then you had to leave them. I do see third party energy popping up. I do see them holding an apple and an orange. If they don't change this cycle, even if they think that going to the orange is the solution or going to the apple is the solution, and they don't directly change the pattern, the outcome card is still negative. Because the key point is learning the lesson, closing the loop, and moving out of this in a divine way. If they can't, they're just repeating the cycle, and it just gets more difficult and more difficult to liberate out of it. Therefore, never closing that loop, always bringing that cycle into their life. And there is a true turning point here that this person can actually embody. I do feel the individual that was involved in them is going to receive justice. I do feel they're having a different revelation and knowing that they have to let this person learn a karmic lesson, even if they don't want to be the bad guy, bad girl. And I'm hearing the term, as I'm looking at this crowning energy, so be it. It's like, okay, peace be upon you. Do what you need to do. I've been you. I see you. I'm not you. And there's two worlds that both parties are moving into. And it is a spiritual choice. The karmic does have an opportunity to move into the light and be at peace, and to have a brand new chapter with a learned energy to be the more authentic version of themselves. For some, it is going to be that they do not do that, that they do recreate a new toxic karmic cycle and repeat that almost like a mental imprisonment. For others, it's going to be where they have revelations and their core purpose of having the karmic connection in the first place is closed out for their soul to be liberated, so they don't have to repeat this process in the next life. It is their turning point at this point in time that is coming about. If you do need a book, and you can go to the link below. We also do host this content weekly. We also pre-release it through Sage Inner Circle Network, ad-free and ahead of the crowd. Plus, we have a community online. If you do want to visit our Sage Inner Circle Network and see what's on offer, you can see the page via the links below and via our website. Otherwise, I will see you for the energy updates next week. Take care.